call your instrument? What do you call your instrument? It's an Andean pipe. Andean pipe. Okay.
Looks like I have plenty of these, so I'm gonna pass out some more. You guys have two?
Yeah.
Just in case you want to differentiate it, this will give you. Okay, can everybody easily see the worship outline? All right, well, this is really cool. We've got mountain community and beloved community together. We have a special music number that has been practiced. As the IT guy said to me the other day when we were doing music online, he said, the sound quality is good. Is that praise or not? We had a guest presentation from one of our resident artists, Catherine Bayfowler, which will be awesome. So really good to gather with you all. And we're gathering in this beautiful space that we've only used a couple of times before. So we're still kind of inaugurating it. I thought it would be good for us to go around and just clearly say our names so we know who all is here, because we don't all know each other. So if we could do that, we'll start up here. What is your name?
I shall try to enunciate and therefore be clear with my name. My name is Steve Friesen. You might have heard that last name before in some circles.
You haven't heard my last name. It's Montalee Dakin. And you haven't heard my first name either.
For that matter. So it's a great name. Oh, and I'm Vern Rempel, by the way. I think you may all know me, but just in case.
Wilmer Villacorta.
John Smith, Dwight Landis,
Marilyn Rempel,
Douglas Fowler,
Catherine Day Fowler,
Bob Gore.
Elsie Ward. Connie Rumpel. Trish Leeser.
Rick Schellenberg,
Ray Schellenberger.
Joan Murphy,
Faye Brenneman.
Start over here with Dar.
Dar Berry,
Mary Gardner,
Dennis Luke,
Heidi Jewell. Angela Ruth.
All right. Well, welcome everybody. It's really lovely to gather with you. And maybe, should we turn up the lights a little bit for singing? Or?
Yeah, that's all wiped out. We can't see the
You
little
look-
here.
you look
It's
great
still
here.
sitting up, so.
Okay.
Yeah, you look great here.
Oh, okay.
Maybe the door could be closed just a tad.
Would that
because
help?
it's pretty bright.
Oh, just partly close it?
Just partly close it so people know that they're still welcome to come in, but it's not quite as bright.
That's a
more
good
light
idea.
for senior.
And we might need a little bit
You're
more
trying to hide from the
in
light, Steve?
the room.
Yeah, well, you have a halo, and then we know that's just light.
We might need these lights up a little bit so we can do our singing for seeing the words.
Yeah.
And one change, however, I got the art reflection and the Bible reading backwards. So we're going to do the Bible reading before the art reflection because I want the art reflection to come and then my short reflection on the Bible reading. But I kind of want the Bible reading to be rolling around in our subconscious, in our hearts and minds during both the art reflection and my reflection, of course. So anyway, so we'll read that first. And if you are feeling like a Bible reader this morning, we always invite a volunteer to read the Bible passage. So if you really want to read it, get ready to raise your hand. for that when we come to that time. And the other thing you may notice, well, you probably wouldn't, but at Beloved, we always have Eucharist every Sunday, and so we will be doing that this Sunday as well, communion. So that is available for everybody.
Are we doing a mug of beer today?
It's purple beer made from grapes. If that makes you happy.
Close enough.
Close enough. It's the kind of drink that we can't have on their carpet.
Oh,
that's right. There's a story behind that.
All right, let us begin by doing some singing. And I'm going to just suggest an initial song, and then I'm happy to have you suggest one or two more. Let's see. Let's turn to number 610. Precious Lord, take my hand.
Thank you.
We need to spread out more hymnals. Do we have any more hymnals to spread out?
Oh, we have two. This is the one with the sticky note. All of those. I just thought we had two sticky notes.
Just a closer walk with D. That's the Pennsylvania Dutch version. Okay. Just a closer walk. Beautiful. I think you all may know something about this, but my original inspiration for this congregation, beloved community, was to bring together kind of a sense of flow of worship that allows us to drop into a meditative, contemplative kind of mode, but also to use blues music as part of that. So that's why we have a little bit of bluesy tones here, even though we're quite capable of singing four-part a cappella hymns too, or praise, whatever. We can do them. But anyway, this is partly in its history, this congregation is partly blues inflected, if you will. So a little bit in the DNA. Infected, yeah. Inflected, infected. singing somewhat? Good. Pretty good space, isn't it? All right, how about one a cappella four-part hymn type? Any suggestions? What?
This is just so challenging.
I don't know.
It is well in that hymnal?
I don't know. What's this?
Peace like a rose.
When Peace Like a River, yeah. That is in here, isn't it?
It is.
So, let's find out.
617.
617. And let us stand as we are able. I shall read. Let's see, D flat, right, okay, on E flat. Okay. All right, how many sopranos can hit an E flat here? One, two. All right, Lonnie, just do our best. Lonnie will. Let's see this.
It's in many classes.
B flat. When peace like a river attendeth my way, when sorrows like sea billows roll, whatever my lot thou hast taught me to say, it is well with my soul. It is well with my soul. With my soul. It is well, it is well with my soul. Though Satan should buffet, though trials should come, let this blessed assurance control, that Christ hath regarded my helpless estate, and hath shed his own blood for my soul. It is well with my soul. With my soul, it is well with my soul. Redeemed from the bliss of this glorious thought, my sin not in part but the whole is nailed to his cross, and I bear it no more. Praise the Lord, oh my soul. It is well with my soul. With my soul, it is well with my soul. And Lord, haste the day when my faith shall be sight, the clouds be rolled back as a scroll, the trumpet shall sound, and the Lord shall descend. Even so, it is well with my soul. It is well with my soul. With my soul, it is well with my soul. Beautiful, thank you. You may be seated. So that hymn just has one line that I always feel needs a little explaining. When it says, the trump shall sound and the Lord shall descend, we say, even so, which we typically use as in spite of that. But this is an older English usage of even so, which means therefore or thusly. I will. So that's the bit right there. I always have to explain that. I always have to explain what an Ebenezer is when we sing. All of those things. Angel's prostate fall. There are a few confusing moments there.
I always was concerned about bringing in the sheep.
Yeah, oh yeah, you want to bring in the sheep. Yeah, that's right.
The sheep.
Yeah, that's right, bring in the sheep. Oh, well, anyway, lovely, lovely singing, thank you. And this is quite nice. This has some nice resonance to it. And I think, Dennis and Connie, you were noticing that when you were working on your song. That'll be really nice. Okay, let us join together in this prayer for autumn. And let's read this together, and then we'll have a moment of silence, and you can see the little prompt for silence. Together. Spirit in the heart of the universe, we find ourselves again in a season of many open skies. The trees now age into the fullness of their lives. The light shifts, and we begin to catch the far-off scent of the fallow field, the apple fragrance of fallen leaves, and the brightness of endings that circle into our lives. Grant us resilient and graceful hearts, so that we may rejoice in the clarity of these days, and to let ourselves move through the changes, and to sense the natural renewal that will greet us once again, beyond all that we may know or hope. Shape us now into people of your compassion, transformation, and peace. May we be instruments of the beauty of your
You are
creation,
the best.
all its wonder. Full of lights beyond measure, the skies come close to us, clear, bright, and endless.
My prayers, as well as you and your family.
All right, peace be in this place. Connie and Dennis, thank you so much for sharing with us this morning. And I guess Wilmer is in it too. Wilmer too. All right.
He's in it now.
Yeah, Wilbur's name did not make it before press time. But he graciously volunteered to play this Andean pipe. Thank you, Wilbur.
Oh,
Bible reader this morning? Okay, Angela, thank you. Yes, go ahead. You probably weren't here. I said we were going to reverse those two, so yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Psalm 19, 1 through 4. The heavens are telling the glory of God, and the firmament proclaims God's handiwork. Day to day pours forth speech, and night to night declares knowledge. There is no speech, nor are there words. Their voice is not heard. Yet their voice goes out through all the earth, and their words to the end of the world.
All right. Well, we're so pleased to have Catherine Bay Fowler offer some reflections on art today as we continue with our art series. And she is an art teacher in the public school system in a high school setting. So thank you so much, Catherine, for sharing with us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Is this the talking spot?
Sure. No worries. You can stay
I
wherever
kind
you
of
want.
need something to put my.
Do you need this bigger lectern here? With that?
Oh.
I can bring that over.
Actually, I could just use this tool.
Use that? Okay.
Yeah, thank you. I would like to use that.
Are you showing visuals up here?
I am showing a couple of things.
We better flip around.
Hey everybody, I'm going to try to use my teacher voice so everybody can hear. I teach at Abraham Lincoln High School in Denver, drawing and painting. And when Vern asked me, I got the text about doing this. It's kind of bad timing because I just came out of a 12-hour day with parent teacher conference. And I was almost just said no. And the next day was another 12-hour day. But I took a little time and I thought about it and I decided to talk about something that I'm interested in, that I use in my artwork, that I teach about, that I've taught about all through my career, and that is mandalas. And mandalas are artwork that is done in a circle. And the word just means circle. John, if you could show the picture.
Give me a second, sorry about this.
Should we turn down the lights a little bit?
I don't think it'll help much with you.
Yeah, while they're doing that,
That helps.
yeah, I'm just going to talk briefly about this one. I have a wonderful book called Natural Mandalas, and I'll pass this around in a minute. But this is an example we'll talk about. While I was trying to come up with themes for this, I remembered a Harry Chapin song. Anyone remember him? The Circle song.
Yeah.
All my life's a circle, the sunrise and sundown. The moon rolls through the nighttime until the daybreak comes around. All my life's a circle, but I can't tell you why. The season's spinning round again. The years keep rolling by. So there's so many full circle moments that I think about with mandalas. And I'll read you a little bit at the beginning of this book, and then I'll pass it around. A mandala is a pattern or device on which to meditate. By absorbing the mandala into his or her own consciousness, the meditator reorients their worldview as their inner focus shifts from the distractions of the outer world to the virtues of self-awareness, wisdom, and compassion. Nature, the creative life force, is in many ways the ultimate mandala. Natural mandalas can be seen wherever we choose to look. The whorl of a shell, the tightly furled petals of a rose, the age rings within the trunk of a tree, the patterns made by leaves against the sky, all of these and more are portals to a realm that transcends the mundane. This particular mandala is looking a little dark up there, but you can see that it is basically artwork inside of a circle. Everything here means something in this particular mandala. It has a chrysanthemum in the center. In China, the chrysanthemum is the emblem of Taoist perfection, autumnal serenity, fullness, and longevity. Without a doubt, because its blooms continue into the winter, the flower is also a solar symbol said to serve as an intermediary between heaven and earth. So there's geometry here. It's kind of hard to see, but there are a couple of triangles. This basically has radial symmetry, and that's something I use when I teach this. In other words, it has a center, it has sections radiate around that, and they have similar symbols. This one is got a lot of meaning here. Let's see. The upward pointing triangle is masculine and symbolizes fire. The downward pointing triangle is feminine and denotes water. The upper part of the upward triangle has a base of the downward triangle passing through it, denoting air. The lower part of the downward triangle also has a bar across it, denoting earth. Here are all the elements. So I'll go ahead and pass this around if people would like to look. And then, John, this might be a good time to show the video.
We're going to have a few minutes to get this set up because, well, how do you share a video?
The video is of some Tibetan monks making a sand mandala. Maybe some of you have seen those. There's one at the Denver Art Museum. And they're very intricately made, and every single color and symbol has a meaning to them that most of us don't understand. But they're beautiful. They have a geometry to them.
Wilmer, how do you share a screen? I'm not seeing the options. They change sometimes. On Zoom. Oh, there it is. Easy. Whatever gets the
John, it looks like if we can do the sound, it'd probably be okay since it's not time lapse. for symbolic. That's really the ultimate example. Others just have artwork in a circle. And I've been using mandalas in my artwork. And I thought it's a little awkward, it's like personal journals to show you. So I've been writing on one side of my journal and doing artwork on the other. And now I just occasionally do them. So I looked back at some of my old sketchbooks, and I thought I would pass them around for people to see. There's a few different ways that I've used it. For me, it is kind of a full circle moment to talk to you about mandalas and to teach mandalas with my students, which I haven't for a long time, just because of timing and scheduling. But it's my last year of teaching this year, after 24 years. So I thought, what better thing to bring full circle than talk about mandalas?
It's secured with the rubber band. Is that
Yeah.
right? Or do you want to just see the front page?
Right. Not read your paragraph. You got the message.
It was resisting.
For, the circle is a symbol of the universe, of wholeness, of things coming back around. So when I make these collages, I'm just finding things in magazines that look interesting to me, and then I start putting them together in a certain way. And this is the kind of artwork I've been doing lately. This is what's meaningful to me. And I don't usually have a plan before I start, but as all the parts come together, I finish up my collage. Under your chair, please. Whatever that came from, but I'll just hold on to that. Oh yeah, that's a future piece of that stuff. Yeah, I think my art I'm doing now, just I'm cutting out circles of different patterns and just adding them to my collage. It can be a meaningful thing to do, and might want to consider doing some kind of artwork like this yourself. And then the very tiny scissors that are sharp.
Can you restate the question?
Oh, sorry.
Can you say the question that comes?
How do I cut them out so neatly? Yeah. It's all practice plus little tiny sharp scissors.
And patience.
The interesting thing is that I find the parts and I rearrange them, and I really don't glue anything down, and everything's there, and I figure out how to do that with some overlapping things. Some things are underneath, and I think that's what makes it interesting to me. And when I make these, I didn't really make them to publicly display, but it seemed like a thing to do. And it's fun for me as a teacher just to make my own kind of artwork for myself. I don't necessarily follow the rules that I'm teaching because I don't have to. I usually follow. Anyway, does anyone else have another question about mandalas or making collage? Yes.
Well, I would just say that you don't necessarily have to follow the rules in your 24th year of teaching because you've already learned.
Yeah, like I think Picasso said, you learn the rules, so you can break the rules. But one thing I teach is a collage needs to have at least 3 pieces. Otherwise, I have a lot of students who will just cut a piece rectangle out of a magazine and turned it, yes. That's happened, and I'm like, Shane, you're just taking someone else's photograph and saying that it's yours. So in order to make it yours, you need to take pieces of things and put them together in your own way and make a new image. That can be a hard thing to communicate sometimes. Occasionally I'll use mine to show students to get an idea across. But for the most part, these have been my private, I think my rubber band must have come off that one.
No, it's yours.
Oh, yeah, I was just wanted to show that one, or the one.
Just the front, on the front. Don't go any farther.
Yeah, it's backward. Yeah, but yes, that one. Yeah. Anyway, this is the kind of artwork I'm doing lately.
I remember you had a fabric piece that you put kind of time on a few years ago. Or it was that created in cooperation.
Oh, yeah, there was a show called Spun in the Art Museum. That was about all kinds of using fabric and I was in the collage part, the crochet part. And I was part of the crochet coral reef there. So that was a project we worked on for 8 months. And then I had no idea, but the night that it was displayed for the final time, they gave it away. So we were like, what? But it was kind of interesting to see people wearing pieces of things that I crocheted that look like underwater animals or coral or other things. Yeah. And one of my friends ended up with one. Oh, that's kind of cool.
So you work in mixed media, obviously, but you've tended to do sort of that kind of media as opposed to just, you do watercolor and painting and some of the other work too.
Yeah, sometimes, I teach drawing and painting, but I also teach mixed media.
Okay.
And when I teach mixed media, I'm teaching how to use a sewing machine, how to embroidery, and occasionally I have a student that wants to learn to crochet or knit. We can try that, and also weaving. So yeah. You guys have so many good questions. Thank you. Not to leave. Yeah.
You're gonna love one question today.
I'm interested in process, so my question is about, when do you do your own personal art? Do you get up at 5 a.m. in the morning? Do you do it at midnight, at night? Do you do it when there's nobody in the house? Or where does it happen?
I'd say mostly on the weekends. My time is pretty filled with school, even in the evenings sometimes. Or maybe I just don't want to think about it during that time, if I have everything put together. So I work on it, and in fact, I'm on Zoom for this church session. That's one time that I'm working on it. And Sunday morning is a good time, I found. And I just take pages I've torn out and start looking through those and see what looks good to me at the time.
That relates to my question. I'm trying to slide in here quickly, but what are you going to do once every day becomes a weekend? Well, you've got a year, right?
Well, less than a year now, and I don't know the answer to that question, but yes, I'll have a lot more time to make my own artwork and hopefully figure out the answer to that question. But I'm trying to remember, who was it that said, stepping stone by stepping stone, and you don't know what the next one is.
Yeah.
That's kind of where that is, but I do know that 24 years is a good amount of time to do this. It's time to go to the next thing.
The next part of the
Yeah. See where that comes around. Marilyn,
Is the Tibetan monks destroyed theirs afterwards, or, it seemed like a sort of a dance when they did it, but in the end, it had no resemblance to what they made. Is that part of it,
it's part of it for them because part of their, I don't know, dharma is the impermanence of things. And so that's one thing I think they're communicating there at the end, that they create this for a certain purpose, and when that's over, then it's destroyed, and even the destruction has some meaning to it. Like they said, some will be washed away, some will be given away. And I think they were saying prayers for that community, and they had a lot of symbols about compassion in that. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
It's kind of apropos that she brings in Harry Chapman into her artwork. Because years ago, Chapman kissed Harry.
Yeah. That may explain the rubber band.
I know I'm gonna have to go back pretty far in the diaries. No, Harry Chapin, I don't know if you remember, but he was making money for the World Hunger Organization, and he did a lot of special concerts for them. And if you bought his book, then you got a kiss from Harry Chapin. So me along with like thousands of other people. But yeah, maybe that's why I thought of him.
They just have to jump in and repeat the autograph and they get writer's stamp. And I wonder how it works.
I don't think that in the days of COVID, anyone's doing that anymore. But I guess, I don't know if it was like the late 70s or 1980, I can't remember when he passed away, but soon after that. I guess, nobody was worrying about that, or at least he wasn't. I wasn't.
Oh, thank you, Catherine. That was really beautiful. Yeah, we love that Harry Chapin song. We learned about him a few years after he died, I guess. We went for a review of his music in Lancaster, and we'd never heard of it before. Just amazing. He also has a great song called 30,000 Pounds of Bananas. On a truck that crashes in Scranton, Pennsylvania with 30,000 pounds of bananas. He has so many great storytelling songs.
Yeah, he's a story. Was a story.
Yeah. All right. Well, just a couple of other reflections on art for us. I might need a little bit more light. On the left.
Oh, that's the other one might be.
The other one is a bright light section.
So, just a few reflections on the psalm and the steps that we take to make art. Because we're in the middle of this series, and each week we're going to be having some reflections about from artists or about art. So, and that reminds me, next week we need another art presentation at Beloved. I think we have one arranged for Mountain Community already, don't we, for next week?
Yeah.
Yes, but if anybody would like to make a presentation about art at Beloved, it can be about a piece of art that you like, or just some thoughts that you have about art. That would be great. So just let me know. All right. Do you ever speak to the animals around you?
Yeah, I do.
Do you ever speak for the animals
Yes, I
around
do.
you?
I do.
Yes. Marilyn and I talk on behalf of our cat all the time. You usually beginning with the phrase, "Oh, she says." For example, she might seem to look concerned when we're leaving, and we'll say, from the cat perspective, "Oh, are you leaving?" Never sad cat face. Or another time we'll say, "Are you going to give me treats?" That's usually when she's staring at us. We call it giving us the George Will look, because it kind of looks like George Will's picture by his editorials, where he's kind of staring at his stomach. We say, "Oh, she's giving us the George Will, we better go give her some treats." In this way, as the Psalm says of nature, there is no voice, yet their voice goes out, right? So, a lot of this very brief reflection that I want to just bring to you is based on the work of the poet John O'Donoghue, who's an Irish poet. And so he talks a lot about how nature finds its voice through us. And I think it relates really well to what you said, Catherine, because you hear in a way, you hear nature finding its voice through the work of the monks, if you will, visual voice, but also their chants, which were really amazing. And then also the movement of the body as they kind of did that dance of impermanence at the end. So John O'Donoghue says that the first silence in nature is the land. The first part of silent creation is the land. He says landscape is the firstborn of creation. Landscape was here on its own. It is the most ancient presence in the world, though it needs a human presence to acknowledge it. And this is exactly how I experienced the Colorado Plateau. I don't know if you've all had opportunity to drive into the Colorado Plateau at all in Utah and Arizona, that very remarkable landscape of redstone formations. It is utterly silent. And that's part of what I love about it, is the grand silence of that landscape. And yet it speaks. It speaks of ancient things. It speaks of time before time. Especially, I think about it, it speaks about time before me and time after me. I can imagine myself just like Quicksilver passing through that landscape. I come and then I am gone, but these rocks have been there for millions of years before that, and for millions after me. And for some reason, I find great inspiration and solace in that thought. I'm plunged again and again into eternity as I move through the grand silence of that landscape. The rocks are eloquent in that way. And by the way, of course, Grand Canyon. Do you all know, this is trivia, do you all know what the first name of the Grand Canyon was? A very creative name. It was the Big Canyon. I thought that was great. They decided grand sounded grander than big. John O'Donoghue says, in the human mind, the universe first becomes resonant to itself. Beautiful phrase. In the human mind, the universe first becomes resonant to itself. And so it is when we let ourselves see nature. When we see nature for its God-given self. Not for our agenda on nature, but for what it is, for what it holds. Whether it is those grand redstone formations of the plateau, or another one of my favorites is the wide fields of Kansas spreading out into infinity, or the mysterious wave patterns by the shore. Nature is there for us, and we see it, and thus we might say this is the first act of art, is to pay attention to that creation, to pay attention to nature. And I love the monks, the way they are so attentive. Doesn't it blow your mind how they do that? I mean, it blows my mind that Catherine can take a sharp little scissors and do this too. That's just immense, deliberate patience. Beautiful. But how that attentiveness to that, that's the difference between just whipping through Monument Valley and seeing Monument Valley. Just amazing. All right, now let us circle back for our second part to animals. We started with our animals. John O'Donohue writes, animals are our ancient brothers and sisters. The knowing of earth is in them. So he's suggesting that animals know the landscape. And you can see this. One of Marilyn and my favorite memories is seeing ravens dance in the desert in Nevada. And they were just so happy. They were like, that's right. They had stuff going on. And so animals know this is their place. This is their habitation. That it is made of them and with them. And so the knowing of the earth is in them, says O'Donohue. He continues, the dignity and beauty and wisdom of the animal world is not diminished by any false hierarchy or human arrogance. Somewhere in the Celtic line, and he's a Celtic spiritual teacher as well as poet, was a grounding perception that humans are the inheritors of the deeper world. And so I was thinking, does this include cats? Because cat. And then the next thing I knew, he had a poem about cats in his book. I'm like, all right, John O'Donohue. So it does include cats, but of course it also includes ravens. One time, we saw a juvenile mountain lion running just off the side of the road on a state highway in the middle of Utah. Amazing. This cat that looked like it was still a baby, but it was way too big. So, oh, that's going to be a cat. That cat knows that landscape. The knowledge of earth is in it. It's amazing. So this may help to deepen our understanding of nature, that animals move and breathe with ancient and economical relationship to the landscape. This is their place. They know how to inhabit it, and they preceded us in it. And so this may be considered to be a second step of art, is that we may sense their liveliness in what we create. And so you can imagine those monks taking their cues, maybe from animals at some point, to learn how to move. Isn't that an interesting thought? Maybe the first dancing was born of watching animals and the way they move. All right, and then finally humans, us, the human creation. O'Donohue writes this, and I think this is lovely. In the human face, the anonymity of the universe becomes intimate. In the human face, the anonymity of the universe becomes intimate. In other words, when we see each other's faces, we are receiving a translation of the infinity of the universe. And he says a lot more about that, which I would love to tell you about, but I'm not going to. But this is in his book, Anam Cara, if you want to read it. And it means beloved friend or soul friend. So you can look at that. Now, David Brooks, who is no John O'Donohue, he's a journalist, but he writes in his book, The Social Animal, about, and many of you have heard me say this a whole bunch of times, so here it goes again. He writes about how much information we get from each other when we are with each other in person. And he says, according to neuroscientific research, at any given time, we are taking in 11 million bits of information about each other when we are in person. And then he talks about how that's reduced when we are only doing email, and how that's reduced even more for just text messaging, whatever. And so that's why it's so easy to misunderstand each other. I mean, we can already misunderstand each other in person just fine. But it's really easy to take a misstep on email. That's why it's better to leave the texting to the 20-somethings, because they can all use their emojis, and maybe some of us can too. Anyway, we take in all of that information, and he says we only notice a few of these at a time. Like, I may happen to remember that John has a gray sweatshirt on today, or I may not. But now that I made a point of it in the sermon, maybe I will remember that. But our hearts and minds still take it all in. Our hearts and minds still take it all in. And this, of course, unfortunately means that we can really scare each other, for one thing, because we're taking in all of that information. And so if there's a threat, or if there's ill will, we intuit that. But also, it means we have a profound capacity for relationship. We have a profound and deep capacity for making community with each other, because we are taking in so much from each other. We're taking in the whole thing. We are becoming whole with each other. It's an amazing thought. And this is based in neuroscience, but I think you can easily hear the spiritual and theological echoes of that. O'Donohue writes, the human person is a threshold where many infinities meet. And then he goes on to talk about the infinity of space, and he talks about the infinity inside here. And that all of this comes through as we greet each other, as we meet each other. 11 million bits, it's uncountable. When I was studying family systems with Ed Friedman, the rabbi that I studied with for a few years, he used to always puzzle about how we know whether somebody is calm or anxious the minute they walk into a room. He says, how do we know this? And I think this is how. We are taking in so much information that even if somebody should walk in the door at that distance, I would already have lots of information about them, more than I know, because of that. Well, I think that's amazing. So last of all, let's see here. O'Donohue sums it up by saying, the human face is an artistic achievement. And I liked that, especially because I knew Catherine was going to talk about circles, because you may remember when you started to draw faces, what did you draw first, right? Circle. Then you put the mouth way down at the bottom when you're a kid. And later on, we all learned from our art teachers, no, the mouth's supposed to go kind of in the middle of the circle, and the circle becomes an oval, all of that stuff. But the face is an artistic achievement. What he's saying is, the face is an expression of the artistry of God. And that we receive so much from each other through our faces. The light of God is shining in them, in us, through us, among us. All right, so we may perhaps consider that to be the third step of art, is that we are art with each other. O'Donohue writes, against the infinity of the cosmos and the silent depths of nature, the human face shines out as an icon of intimacy. Beautiful statement. So we make art within the grand contours of creation. Land, animals, humans, and I'm sure we can all think of many other things that we could add into that. But I pulled those three from what John O'Donohue was saying. And so in this way, we bring voice. With our artistry, we bring voice. And I'm using voice to represent not only hearing, but also seeing and feeling and moving. And so we can say with the song, there is no voice, yet their voice goes out. Right. So what we typically do at Beloved Community, which I'm going to invite us to do here, is we state things that we want to hold in prayer, and then we respond silently by just doing the namaste hands. So I'm not going to follow up with any spoken prayer or respond, unless sometimes I respond a little bit, but generally we just respond by doing this to each thing that is shared. So I invite us now, what do we have to bring into the circle of God's love in prayer? Oh, and I should say, by the way, bathrooms, there's a bathroom right here as you go out that door. And there are also much bigger bathrooms if you go down the main hall and turn right again, so if you need that. All right, what do we have that we want to mention for prayer today as we enter these things into the circle of God's love? Yes, Mary.
Well, at Peace Mennonite last week, I shared that our daughter's body is healing very well after a lot of post-op kinds of situations. But I want to share in that I think through this experience that her soul is healing like I've never seen before, and I want to pray that that continues.
Oh, wow. For Heather.
Forever.
I would mention the relief sale, Mennonite Central Committee relief sale. That event was held for the last time in the Arkansas Valley at Rocky Ford, or as one of the children at First Mennonite used to call it, Rocky Mountain Ford. You can get a good deal. And so it was kind of poignant. We did some singing, and everybody knew, that this was the last time. I think the tentative idea is it might be in Castle Rock.
The fairgrounds,
Oh, at the fairgrounds in Castle Rock, so that's what's going to happen. But anyway, it felt kind of historic. The first one there was in 1976. My parents and Connie went, but I had just left home to go to school. I was a freshman at Heston College that year. And my parents bought a china cabinet, which our other sister now has. So anyway, it kind of felt historic. And it just makes one reflect on all the years of support and service that have gone into that process in that location. So I would just say thanks be to God for that relief sale and just the uncountable amount of hours of joy and work that have gone into that place. Oh, and we sold every last piece of pie.
Even the raisin?
Even the raisin.
Yes.
The raisin went first.
Well, I want to praise God for giving us a safe journey from Austin, Texas. And we came for friendship and to go to the sale. And Bob and I went to that sale when we were newlyweds, and we've been married 55 years.
Wow.
So I'm thankful that he gave us good health in the trip, and pray for safety going back.
Yes, thanks. So good to be with you. Austin, Texas, or north of Austin, Texas.
Northampton, yeah, Georgetown.
Georgetown. Jay?
I had a colleague at work, his name is Shlomo Obadia. He lives, he is American, but he is also an Israeli. But most of his family lived in Israel, and his son got called to the armed forces to fight in the war. So, keep him up in our prayers. Shlomo Obadia.
Prayers, Shlomo Obadia. Well, my heart is full of the gifts of this congregation and of Mountain Community. I'm always amazed, and to hear Connie and Dennis sing, and to hear Catherine share with us, just reminds me again in John O'Donohue's words of the infinity that we bring to each other with these gifts. So grateful for that. All right, anything else? Oh, yes, Angela.
This is not important, but I brought cookies after church. Yeah,
You brought cookies?
there
Oh.
might not any, there's more people than I expected, at least.
Well, please, I will just tie in an announcement I was going to make at the end then, but just a reminder that this congregation, our host congregation, is having their Fall Fest, and there are a bunch of cookies out in the hall that you can buy. So if you have cash.
Actually, I think they said credit card too, I just passed.
Or credit card. Yeah. All right, so we may be able to rustle up enough cookies. All right. Well, let us continue in the vein of edible gifts with our Eucharist. You may remember that Eucharist is based in the Greek word for good, gift. And so we receive these gifts. And what I'm going to do, I was trying to figure out the logistics of this, but I think it'll work. There is a plastic sheet here that I would like to keep the juice on top of, just to minimize staining. So we'll just move this over just a little bit.
Should have brought black wine.
I know. Well, this is grape juice, but yes. So anyway, what I would like to do is to just invite you to come around like this, because the plastic sheet is on this side, so that's the reason. And receive the communion that way, then just continue on around.
And come back around, go around, look at all these cables.
Yeah, so you don't trip over the cables, yeah. All right. Jesus said, I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me will never hunger. Whoever believes in me will never thirst. And so we receive these gifts as a sign of God's ongoing and faithful and constant abundance in our lives. Thanks be to God. And I invite you to receive the elements by dipping the bread, but not your fingernails, in the juice, and receive them together. Come as you're ready.
put enough in, I'll come back.
Turn around again.
All right, well, the reason I thought of it is because let us stand as you're able and let's join together in our offering prayer and then in our Lord's Prayer, and I should explain the Lord's Prayer. This is a prayer that we started praying in Beloved Community at the beginning, and it is from the New Zealand Book of Common Prayer. It is translated by an Anglican poet from a Maori version of the Lord's Prayer, so the native people of New Zealand. It's translated from a prayer, a form of the Lord's Prayer that they developed. So that's the roots of this Lord's Prayer. But let's begin with our offering prayer and continue with our Lord's Prayer. As in the ancient church, we gather with glad and generous hearts, may we in this way also bless the earth. Eternal Spirit, earth maker, pain bearer, life giver, source of all that is and that shall be, Father and Mother of us all, loving God in whom is heaven, the hallowing of your name echoes through the universe. The way of your justice be followed by the peoples of the world. Your heavenly will be done by all created beings. Your commonwealth of peace and freedom sustain our hope and come on earth. With the bread we need for today, feed us. In the hurts we absorb from one another, forgive us. In times of temptation and test, strengthen us. From trials too great to endure, spare us. From the grip of all that is evil, free us. For your reign in the glory of the power that is love, now and forever. Amen. Does anybody have a hymn you want to sing in our ascending? How about number 131, Praise, I Will Praise You, Lord. Is that right? They turn out, which we probably won't try in French, based on my pronunciation. Yeah, well, Catherine can do it, yeah. Number 131. Let's just sing verses 1 and 2, praise and love, and we will let the serve flow out of our love. One of my favorite praise songs. All right, so a couple of notes. Oh, this isn't mine. I wrote some notes on mine, but I don't know where they are. Anyway, hopefully I can remember. Dar, you have an announcement about a potluck?
Yeah, potluck at
Mountain Community, November 5th. I will bring the chili and folks will bring things that go around it.
Okay, so we're gonna chill out.
Chill reception.
Home free holidays. All right, so November 5, Beloved is going to Mountain Community. Mountain Community came here, so in 2 weeks, Beloved is going to Mountain. And, yes?
Same time? What time?
No, and the time will be 9 o'clock at Mountain Community, so you have to get up. Yeah, get up and roll. But we will do the service there and then have the potluck following that. Next week, Beloved will be here at the regular time of 12:30. And Mountain Community will be at Mountain Community Building at the regular time of 9 o'clock. But then the following week we'll be together again, but at 9 o'clock.
There's a good chance that we press some grapes next Sunday after church. If folks are interested, I'll put something out when I know for sure, but the grapes are supposed to come today or tomorrow.
Okay. So if you are interested in being part of John Beck's grape pressing, he makes wine every year. And we don't press them with our feet. So he has a great press. And it's great fun and really interesting. So if you're interested, stay tuned for that. And I'll try to remember to send the note to you also, Ray, so you can send it out to Mountain Community. See, there was something else. I mentioned the Fall Fest already. And I think that's it, because, yeah, the shared services. And then stay tuned for special events coming up around the holidays, of course. Oh, that's the other thing, is November 5, when Beloved is at Mountain Community, is when we will be doing our All Saints rituals. We will continue with our art series, but we will also be having recognition out in the little memorial garden, and which would be appropriate for Beloved community people and Mountain community people. We will also be doing candle lighting. And the other thing I invite you to do on that day is, if you want to, you can bring a memento of a loved one who has gone on before that you want to honor. So that's another possibility as well. What's that?
Are we doing bricks?
Bricks. Yes, yeah, the bricks is the memorial garden. Yes, sorry, I should have said bricks. But yes, we are. Okay. Anything else? Any other final notes? We've got some cookies, and if anybody wants to go buy more and bring them in, or other things, they have all kinds of stuff out there. Okay, as we always end here at Beloved Community, my dear friends, you are